Currently we are in section 3 and we are about to check out the fourth video of this section. So in this video, we will check out how to implement the drop down button. So for those of you who don't know what is drop down menu, well, the image in front of you represent the drop down menu item. You click on the drop down, you get a list and then select one item. Pretty simple, isn't it? So let us see how to implement it within our application. Let us check out the code snippet for better understanding. So here this is our drop down button widget, which is a generic type widget, meaning you can pass any data type as per your requirement. Here I am using string as a data type, which is generally used most of the time. Well, this widget contains one property of items, where you have to pass the list of items. Right now here I have the list of items as currencies variable, which I will define it within my enclosing class. So here var currencies will be the list of currencies such as rupees, dollars or pounds. Well, on this array I will call a map function, which further executes a function which gets a string parameter. Now this map function, what it do, it simply iterate over all of the list item stored in the currencies. So this parameter drop down string item will represent just one element in each of the iteration. So in the first iteration, the drop down string item will represent the rupees. In the second iteration, this value will be dollars, and so on. In the third iteration, it will be pounds. So with each of the iteration, we will return a drop down menu item, which is again another widget. So it is again a generic type widget. Here again I will use string. So within this widget we have the property of value, where we will assign this drop down string item with each of the iteration. And then finally wrap it within our text widget. And finally convert everything to the list and assign it to our items property. Perfect. Thus completing our code. Now whenever users select any item, then we have to process the item selected. So here again we have a special handler for that, such as onChanged event handler. So whenever the user select any item, then it will actually execute an anonymous function. And within this function we can further call the set state function, which is again a very important function which we saw in the previous video as well, that will help you to reflect any changes as per your requirement. So whatever is your requirement, you have to write your code here accordingly within this function. So within our application, let us try to add a drop-down menu item in between the text field and also the text widget here. So down below within our favorite city state, just after the text field, let us add our drop-down button. And as a generic type, we have to pass the string, which is our requirement. Instantiate it, give a comma here, and then within this, let us define our property of items, which again expects the list of string values. So here, right after the name city, let us define our currencies. And in case the user don't find his own currency, then he can select others. And now, down below here in the items, let us use our currencies list, which is our array, dot call the map function. And this map function will get the value as a string in the iteration for each of the list item. And then as a function body, I will return the drop down menu item. As a type parameter, pass string and then instantiate it. End it with the help of semicolon, and within this instantiation, let us assign the value as this string value for each of the item. And as a second parameter, such as child, let us wrap this value, that is this value, in a text widget. Perfect. And finally in the end here, let us convert it to list, which pretty much completes our code. Now right after this item, let us put another property or another parameter for our drop down button. That is, when the user select any item, onChanged handler will be executed, which will again execute a function that receives a parameter of the item selected. So I will name this parameter as new value selected by the user, that the user has currently selected. So here we have to write a code to execute when the menu item is selected from the drop down by the user. So right now I will call setState function so as to reflect the changes in our UI. And as a body I will use this dot current item selected equal to the new value selected by the user. Perfect. And I will now define this variable within my class just below the currencies. And by default I will give it a value such as rupees. Perfect. Let us launch the application. So here this is our drop down menu item. If you click on it, then you will find couple of options: rupees, dollar, pounds and others. If you select any of these, then nothing really happens. Nothing is being shown as the selected item here, right? So for that we have to add one more property similar to items and onChanged. So here down below we have to use the property of value and then use this one, current item selected variable. So this value will actually notify which item is currently selected by the user, as we're assigning the new selected value to this variable here within the setState function. Launch the application. So here we go. Let us click on our drop down item and then select pound. So here pounds is getting reflected here as a selected item. Now when you launch the application, initially rupees was selected. This is because by default we have assigned the value to our variable of current item selected as rupees. If you change it to, let's say, dollars, copy it and paste it here and launch the application, then by default dollars will be selected here. Let me show it to you. So here dollars is now getting selected by default. Now in the end I would like to make some changes, or you can say optimize our code. So here if you notice, currently we have just one line of code within our setState function. Now what if later on in future we have to add 50 more lines of code within our setState anonymous function here? So it's better to put this code in a separate function. So here I will call a function and name it as drop down item selected and pass the value of new value selected, which was selected by the user. And down below here, let us create this function. And then what we can do within this function, we can cut all of this code and paste it right here. Perfect. And I think I have done some typo mistake. Copy it and paste it here. We are pretty much done. Launch the application and verify it if everything is in place. Perfect. The code is working perfectly fine. So that's all for this video.